nothing changes.
Well, I wanted to still be movable if need be.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, Club Buds.
Hello.
Fursuit Friday.
Fursuit Friday.
Okay, that was terrible. Am I in a geriatric facility?
Yes.
Let's try that one more time.
You look dressed for it.
Oh! I love you already. Alright. Try one more time. Good afternoon, Club Buds. And happy Fursuit Friday. Are we having a good time at FWA?
Heck yeah!
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, this is Fursuiting 101. Stop it. Behave. Apologies for these individuals. This is Fursuiting 101. Now let me ask you, first of all, anybody in the room a first-time student? Okay, all right. So how long have you had your students?
Since about 3 a.m. last night.
Congratulations.
About 10:30 a.m. last night.
Okay,
And today.
Okay.
10:30 today.
Okay.
This is my first time doing out of room.
You're out of room.
First time wearing it out of the room.
Oh, okay. Well, this is first. We're going to go over some basic things such as characterization, emotions, a little bit of maintenance, things like that. Okay. All right. So we're going to start off with a little demonstration. You guys know of some emotions you guys would normally do. Okay. And see if you got to be a little more expressive. You know, if in a suit, right? If you wave like you normally do, it's boring. Right, exactly. So you gotta wave like this. Another good thing that people do is that they'll sit there, they'll just stand there, and they'll do this. I'm boring. Nobody wants my picture taken. But you gotta move. Get out of the way of the camera. Dance. Sweet. Shut up. And then you have Bissy.
Hey, that's rude.
So,
Shut up, you.
I'm going to have them do some emotions, okay? And then let you guys take the floor from there and then kind of help you out a little bit. This is a basic kind of thing, all right? So, okay. All right. Show me scared. Okay. All right. Show me excited. Okay. Thanks. Show me happy. That's terrible. Alright, show me disappointment. I'm really good at this one. Oh! Rude! Rude! Absolutely rude, ridiculous. I am rude. I forgot to introduce these people. I apologize. This is Taazeer.
Hello. Hello.
This is Rascal the raccoon.
Hey.
Dr. Kanu. This is Taazeer the Dutch angel. That's Yuki the Dutch angel. That's Dakota.
Hi.
And that's Amethyst. Alright, so where were we with emotions? So do you guys have any emotions you want to give them? Nothing too complicated like confused.
That's just my constant state.
Did you drop?
You're goddamn, you're right. I stopped.
Behave.
Kind of. I'm trying. I'm not good at behaving.
Missy.
What?
Try harder.
Alright, so let's try a complicated emotion, shall we? Complacent.
Look at Bissy. There's complacent.
Do you guys have jealousy? Okay, we can do jealousy.
Rude.
So you know, when you put these costumes on, you become a performer. You are a mascot of whoever you want to be, whatever your characterization may be. You know, in my case, I'm a doctor, and I'm a pretentious butthole. Yep, that's how it is.
Yeah, it
The term you were looking for was prat.
Right, right. So and then each one is they have their own characterization. And remember, you are an animal. So like for example, like if I go over here and like scratch his ears, yeah, I think sometimes that makes sense. Real bite. But it's whatever you want to be. Okay. Hey, pay attention. Focus. So in that manner, you are putting a performance on and things like that. And then I want to take my head off real quick so I can talk better.
You really get every month right.
Hello. Oh, God. Breathe.
Magic has been broken, everybody.
It's okay, it's worth it.
Oh, Bessie, why are you drinking again? So, speaking of things to do in suits, right, safety-wise, here's a prime example of what not to be doing. Bessie.
I got that covered. I'm
So,
good back.
does everyone know what the 6-2-1 rule is?
Yes.
Yes.
Please, for the love of all that is holy, shower.
Shower.
Axe does not count.
So love of all of that. Brush your
Take
suit.
another shower.
Thank you. Jeez. But don't be like this over here. 6 drinks a day, an hour, 2 shots before lunch, and a shower a week.
We love you, Bitsy.
Oh, I know.
That's why he's over these. He's a rat.
Yeah.
Get cozy. I know we're furries. We're all furries. Love each other.
Come on in, everybody, come on in, sit down.
We all love each other. There's a spot up here.
I'm good.
If someone in the shower, it's fine. Alright, so what we're going to talk about, next topic we're talking about is like, because obviously as you can imagine, this is literally a walking carpet. Right? They're very cold, obviously, as you can tell by the sweat dripping down my face. Now, in reference to keeping cool, I have this gentleman playing Taazeer here, this fine gentleman who has many techniques to keep himself cool.
So guys,
Pause.
a lot of us actually have on Under Armour. Any of you guys have Under Armour underneath these suits? They're like lifesavers. I've got a pants. I got full pants and a shirt that covers my whole sleeves. See it right there, it's still going. What it does, it keeps moisture nights off your body. In the end, it'll keep you cool. You jump in front of a fan, you get a lot cooler quicker. I also make an air gun. Any of you guys seen this sucker running around? It's literally an air gun.
To blow you away.
Every suitor that I see loves this thing.
How much?
Yes.
How much for a suit?
I don't do the suits. I don't make suits.
We'll get there.
Another great thing is Taazeer over here, he actually wears an ice vest. He has a freezer in his room and he chills it down every single day. Yeah.
What happened to that joke, Grace? Stays to that joke. That could mean lollipops and
Candy bars.
candy bars.
Okay, we're reaching for straws here.
No, we're reaching for candy bars.
Okay, guys. So another thing you're going to make me do a lot while I'm up here, I got a camelback on my back right here. All I do, I fill this thing up with ice at the beginning of a convention in the morning, throw a little bit of water in there. Throughout the day, if I need more ice, I just go to an ice machine and fill it up. It fills itself up because the ice will melt so quickly. You can see it right here? It stays on top of my suit, and it is still cold to the touch. I've got it absolutely filled with ice, as much as possible, a little bit of water in the milk. You got one right there. Smart man. A lot of people, some people like to fill them with a little bit of Gatorade powder or just some Gatorade in there as well to get the extra electrolytes. Please drink Gatorade.
Please stay hydrated.
Please do. Hydration is your #1 thing. I tend to not always drink enough Gatorade when I'm at a con, so every now and then I do get sick in the evenings. It's not fun. Another great thing to help with staying cool in your suit, rescue here has a little fan that he's actually got hanging around his neck. But I actually do fursuit fans for suits themselves. Yeah, that too. Tiny little fan. Actually built from, or came from a computer server made to move air. I highly recommend having a very nice fan that's going to pump a lot of air. Almost every single one of these guys up here has a fan that I've done. Because they all trust me. Taazeer here has 3 of them in his suit. Not trying to make this sound like a plug, but I have suited without a fan. Oh, shut up.
Oh Lord, it's horrible.
I have suited without a fan in general. It is not easy. It is not fun. It gets very hot and it's hard to breathe in the head. Having a fan of any type to move air into the head or out of the head, so you get an actual airflow, is an absolute difference. It can take you from shooting from an hour to being able to shoot for 2 or 3 hours. Easily. It does it not. It really does. I think as far as that, I'll talk to you
After
man.
that.
If you guys have questions about specific
We'll be
stuff
right
like
out
that,
here.
Yes. Human at the end.
yeah, please keep that. We'll take the stand and stuff like that. I'll talk to you after.
Alright, so now some of you said you were first-time students, correct? Right? Do you have handlers?
Not really. I mean, I have a beaver here, you know.
Who's your handler? Who?
It's okay, Missy.
Your roommate, okay.
My partner.
Your partner, okay. Okay. So in reference to being a first-time student, I do suggest you do have a handler because as you can imagine if you're a first-time student, this is your vision. Right here, everyone do this. This is what you see. Nothing.
It literally is.
And some different suits, we do the suits differently, is they've got tear ducts. So if you look right here, if I cover his eyeball up, you can't see that, right? You can still see. He's got ducts right here. And his vision is very limited.
Yes.
So you do need a handler. Now, in reference to a handler, he originally was our handler, but he got the suit bug.
You just had to have a first.
Had to go get a fursuit. And I'm going to let him take the floor about being a handler, about running into walls and how you push me into trash cans.
How many walls has he run into?
How many what?
How many walls has he run
A lot.
A lot.
So,
part of the
people
character.
do not pay attention to suitors enough. They will walk on them, step on them. Taazeer, how many times has your tail been stepped on?
Spite of any, I could buy this hotel. Every time.
Yeah.
So, as a handler, you have to watch the people around them. Because otherwise, they're going to get trampled. Or they're going to trample people who aren't paying attention.
Or
to them.
children.
With
They're
candy.
this big and you can't see and you're vision in this.
And the worst ones are kids. You have to watch out for kids. Because they,
I had a kid kick.
Okay.
like you're in front of me, I cannot see your knees. I want to see your chest and up right now. So, you have to watch out.
You're the extra set of eyes.
Keep learning your suitors. They all have certain quirks that they show when they're excited and energetic. And then they have those quirks they show that when they need to go to the headless lounge, even if they don't say it.
Heat stroke can creep up on you really fast without any warning. If you are a shooter or a handler, it would be very wise to read the basics about heat stroke and the signs of it. It is no joke.
So does anybody know the difference between heat stroke, heat exhaustion? No? Yes, go ahead. Yes.
Yes.
Yes, because if you get to the point where you're suiting, and you go, man, I don't feel so good, and you ignore it,
What?
busy,
Yeah,
to the point where you sit there,
that time.
that time.
and you sit there and you ignore it, and what happens is you're like, I'm no longer sweating. At that point, it's too late. You need to find a medic immediately.
Yes.
Because what's going to happen is if you allow yourself to get heat stroke, you're either going to pass out, or in your legs, you're going to get cramps in your legs because the acid can't get out of your legs because you can't sweat, and it's going to hurt, and it may even kill you. So you need to be careful.
Know your limits.
Know your limits, and also in reference, if the medic has to come get you, they will tear your fursuit off.
They will cut them off. No ifs, ands, or buts. And if anybody, once we'll get to later, makes a fursuit, once you cut it with scissors, there's going to be a forever seam. So, pretty much no problem.
But to echo his words, a handler's job is again to be your second pair of eyes, the bodyguard of that individual, things of that nature.
And also look out for
Yes.
obstructions or danger.
Obstructions, dangers, stairs, escalators,
It gets a
children with
lot-
candy,
Yes.
fire.
Yeah,
You'd be surprised.
Other fursuiters do.
Children from pulling on your tail?
Yes.
Yes.
I will say it definitely gets a lot more difficult when you are a new handler, like me. I'm con mom. Only one of us that actually has children, so I know it's like taking care of a bunch of toddlers. These ones are potty trained. I now have six. I have six people that I handle.
Are these all safe?
So not only do I have to make sure that they're not getting stepped on, running into people, running into stuff, I'm making sure, hey, we gotta go to the health sponge, you need some water. No, I don't. Yes, you do. And I will drag you there if I have to.
Is it like a road trip where like, do you have to pee and they go no and you go too bad, do it anyway?
Funny story. Funny story about peeing.
Oh, God.
Go for it. Okay.
The one question we get asked, how do you go bathroom in a suit?
You don't.
We drink 3-4 gallons of water a day. We sweat. So we don't. When you go to the bathroom, it's waste. So you think about it, we sweat so much that we just go. We'll be in suit for 6 hours and drink 3
I'm
gallons.
like, I'm gonna pee. Hold on.
On top of that, you finally get the thing off at the end of the day, and then you really have to go to the bathroom out of nowhere. You're like, I was just fine 5 seconds ago. And they're in the toilet for 10 minutes.
So,
Still going.
but in reference again to the handlers, their job is to protect the suit, right? Because as you can imagine, these suits are extremely expensive. As some of you may have purchased them, commissioned them, they could run from a few $100s to a few $1,000s. And in reference to that, the suit making and things like that, I'm gonna turn over to the actual suit maker here, Mr. Taazeer.
Anyway, I've made 4 suits. This is my 4th one. This is my 2nd one. Suits are very, very expensive and extremely hard to take care of. Anybody have an idea of what an average suit would cost, full suit? Anybody?
$5.
Now, if you know, keep your hand down. Does anybody not know what an average suit would roughly cost? You know?
To make or to buy?
Between $3,000 and $5,000.
Depending on the complexity of the suit, per suit cost me a little over $1,000 for me to make. Mine cost me, and bigger material and everything else cost me a little over $13. Commissioning wise, my suit would have ran about $35. Hers would have ran about $3,500. Yeah, so it just all depends on complexity and the patterns and everything else. She has more details on the back of her suit than I do on mine, on the face and everything else, so it does run a little bit more. As far as, if you know, don't raise your hand. Who knows what a digigraded suit is? Who does not?
You're in luck.
Mine is a digigraded suit. My legs are straight. I'm standing straight up, and I have padding on my thighs and on my calves, what allows me to have the anthropomorphic animal-shaped legs. Who does not know what a partial suit is? Everybody knows what a partial suit. I am so sorry, as well as for you, sir. He has a full partial, one consists of the arm sleeves, the leg sleeves, as well as hands, tail, head, in the tradition. Coda has a partial once he has feet.
Yeah.
But anyway, he has hands, feet, tail, head, and everything else, and they usually put clothes on. you know, or an outfit, depending on how they want to
Please
go.
back legs.
Please. It's part of my character.
Yes.
Everybody know what a plantigrade suit is? Who does not know what one is? This would be a plantigrade suit. And you go ahead and explain that, because you can do that better than I can.
What? So plantigrade is more, it goes the shape of your actual legs. These are my actual legs here.
Turns out it's
See? I'm straight.
You want to know what's funny?
What?
In suit, I'm bigger than you. Out of suit, you're bigger than me.
It's funny.
Yeah.
What's up?
It's thick.
Oh, they class their lives. But in this case, so typically in this situation, it is based upon the style, the suit you want, or perhaps even your own heat tolerance. For example, he's going to absorb a lot more heat because he's got padding in there, whereas I don't because I have no padding whatsoever in my legs.
Express that way.
You're a furnace.
What?
You're a furnace.
I'm already finished anyways, but that's okay.
A lot of times in suit, you always got to know your heat tolerance, because I am very, very, very heat tolerant. I could go 4, 5, 6 hours in suit, but I also know my limitations. I know my limits, but there's somebody that may not be very heat tolerant. They would go with either a full partial, or as in what Coda has, as in a partial. And then, you know, you go from there. You may have a moderate, then you would go with like a plantigrade. And then some people that, you know, either they'll be in suit for a little while, or they have a high heat tolerance, they would go with something more insulated and other things. So, right now, do we have any questions from anything from Azure, Rasker, Keanu, or myself? Go ahead.
I have a roommate of mine, known from South Carolina, and he does have a plush suit, and he says that it seems a lot more cooler for him than it does in his full body suit. Is it possible that some paddings have like
Some
UV
people like my feet. Who here has like solid feet, foam feet that are like really solid? Mine are polyfill. Mine are literally lighter, so I get more breathable. So some people, when they do their padding, they'll actually use like the regular foam for them, and some people will use polyfill. Once it depends on how airflow happens. So also depends on like their heat tolerance. They have a higher or lower heat tolerance, and depending on how the airflow flows through the suit itself. Yes.
So it's more commentary on the heat tolerance. Something you might not think about is medications. If you're on ADHD medications like Vyvanse or Adderall, that raises your body temperature because it's a stimulant. So that's going to make your heat tolerance lower. You're going to take more breaks.
Yep.
So just keep that in mind. Things like, you know, Vyvanse, Adderall, bupropion,
Right.
That's a
Wellbutrin,
really good
like
point.
that kind of stuff is going to
Always.
affect your ability.
Well, and one of the other things is Cody here has some severe food allergies, and he has EpiPens. So if he's in a full suit, it's gonna be a lot more difficult to get to his EpiPens. So he has his in his pants pocket, so it's a lot easier to get to.
need the extended needle.
And so we actually all been trained on how to use them for him, because we could easily pop a head off, pop some gloves off, and get him his EpiPen if he's having allergic reaction. So that's definitely a good point. If you have any kind of medical history or
Yes.
issues,
Always some medications.
make
or-
sure that that's something that's easily accessible.
Tell your
Excellent
handler.
question.
Tell your handler, absolutely.
Your
Because
handler
I can't help you if I don't know.
Your manager would be trained, and is always talk to your doctor about that, especially with situations like that, because you never know what heat, like they say, could be a side effect that could disrupt your medication outwork with your body.
For performance selection, how do you personally, not just in general, deal with the social anxiety of feeling judged when you're in suit and being unable to perform, so to speak?
Okay. Are you saying like as far as like in the furry fandom, setting, or in public in general?
So I have this problem where when I'm in suit, I sometimes feel like I'm being judged, like there's an irrational fear.
Right.
How do you personally break that if you have that problem, or know people who have that problem?
I have no shame.
So,
He said that he doesn't.
because I've been
See,
where
that
you're
might depend
at
on the
before.
person.
Yes, I have. When I first first got my suit, I was really kind of anxious about using it any other time than cons. But like around my hometown, I'll go out and about in it because I just don't care anymore. And it takes a while to break that because you're feeling like, well, I'm just standing here and, you know, to point out the elephant or whatever species that may be in the room. It can be really at first like, oh my God, everybody's staring at me, like what the heck? And they're looking at me like, who the heck is this person? But then you think about it and they're like, hey, they're looking at me because they're interested in me. Like I'm interesting, you know? So eventually that fear does break, but I've been in your shoes before with that.
Sometimes when people stare, it's not always judgmental. It could be curious.
They're just trying to figure it out.
Yeah. Like if you see a suitor walk by, it's like, look at that. Look at the colors.
A lot of people haven't seen fursuiters before, so
Yes.
they're like, what is that?
Go next. Oh, okay. Yep, go ahead. Two more, then we're gonna.
I was actually gonna tack on to that, but if you've got a little bit of time, go ahead.
We have time, we just want to progress. We are going to have a Q&A open for everything at the end. So, I mean, does anything that pertain to what we've already discussed?
If I may add on to what you said, as someone who's also recently gotten into suiting and dealt with that, it's important to realize that it's also kind of self-fulfilling as well. As you said, people will look at you and they'll be curious. They're looking for a social cue on how to react. So if you act ashamed or embarrassed like it's something to be embarrassed about, that gives them the cue, oh, I should shame and mock this because they're embarrassed. Whereas if you're confident about it, if you own it and embrace it, then they go, oh, this person is having fun. This is something that's enjoyable. I should react positively. So it's just as much about how you treat the situation as how the other person decides to act.
Very much.
One thing I'll cap on that will go is also if they're like kind of like looking at you and kind of like just like observing you, give them a way, invite them in because they may be feeling the same thing you are. Like, oh, they may judge me because I don't have a suit, and then you're looking, they're judge me because I have a suit. So it's kind of like, so that, like if I see someone looking at me or pulling a phone, I immediately wave. If you see me running around, if you're looking at me, I'm all the time. So try that. If someone's like looking at you or looking, just give them a wave because they might come in. It's inviting. So, but as in
Great comments and questions.
Yep. Very well.
So I'm going to tackle that again as well. Again, we kind of see the forms a little bit, but when it comes involved with children and things like that, again, children, as you can imagine, we are large, build-a-bear people. They're walking around, and sometimes they can be terrified of us.
Oh my.
So the good way with the child is to kind of get down with them, like this, and then if they're scared, you act scared, and.
My son is
Or it seem like you're sad that they're scared.
Right, exactly.
Like you didn't mean it, you gotta make them feel like, oh, it was an accident.
One thing too is you're big, so if you come down to their level, it kind of brings that fear down a little bit.
Be like your dogs.
Yeah. I'll crouch and squat down for little kids. I'm not gonna do it because some of you guys can't see me, but I will get down. A lot of kids, no matter how old, like 5 and under, they still love peekaboo. I can sit there and play peekaboo. That's what I'm saying. But some of these kids, you start playing with them, and they might be nervous and afraid, but you start opening up like the fence, play peekaboo.
Don't chase the children.
No, do not. If the kid is backing away, you do not go near them. You step back a little bit. They don't want
Also
to.
look to
They're
their
afraid.
parents, because I'll tell you what, before I started doing this, if one of these guys would just come up and start talking to my son, I'd be like, who the heck are you? And get away.
But then security chases me and we're all playing tag.
Yeah.
I applaud you, sir.
All right, one more.
So, one thing is when I was a kid, I didn't even know what a free man was. I thought I was like the only kid who actually enjoyed being an actor. So I'd get like all this Halloween werewolf costumes and stuff. Not an actual person, but one thing that made me feel comfortable is you kind of keep yourself anonymous and keep yourself separate from the character you play as. And one thing that I learned is that it's kind of like a game of Guess Who, where if they don't know exactly who you are, they feel like, it makes you feel a little more comfortable. You feel like you could be someone you wanted to be in like some fantasy world and still maintain your identity. Kind of like someone
Well, a lot of fursuiters do that just in general, because it's kind of this
yeah,
escape from their
and
reality.
it kind of eases the tension of what you're feeling. Like like how he said that someone will judge him, but kind of picture yourself not being you,
Yeah.
and you're talking to someone you don't even know.
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing steampunk for the last 12 years, so for me, I have my steampunk persona, I now have a fursona, and then I also have my regular, everyday 9 to 5 going to work. So, yeah, that's
Working on those ghosts.
Thank you.
We're getting those straight.
Thank you. That's
No,
my
put them
tagline.
together. Steampunk persona.
Oh, yeah, no, totally. We're working on it.
So going into that situation, right? So with characterization of your persona and things like that, there's also some of these individuals do not talk. Some are silent suitors. They're my favorite.
I wish.
Hello.
And some of us like to talk a lot.
Oh yeah.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
Good to see you.
And in reference to that, so it's all about finding your voice. So this is he's a British panda. I'm not British at all. Not one bit. No, I'm from Middle Tennessee.
He didn't break the magic yet.
Not quite.
Now he did.
Not quite. But I'm going to take it over to Kodo here about finding your voice because he will not shut up. Ever.
So he's not wrong. So for me, of course, when I got Kodo, I was kind of thinking, hey, what can I do to kind of emphasize the character here? And like he said, finding your voice is the biggest part of it. So if you just walk around and you're like, hey, what's up? Hello. It's like, man, that's dull. But like if you're excited, you're like, hey, what's going on? And you amplify certain things, and it just kind of depends what works best for you. Thank you, darling. If you will give me just a moment, like, as I speak just as normal, but when I have him, it's like, but when I have him, it's so much more different for me because then I'm like, hey, what's going on? And it's just so much more emotion, and it goes along with the fact that you can't just stand there. But finding your voice is a big deal, and you won't know until you get it just right. Like for me, it's not a drastic change for me. For Keanu, he goes completely British, but it's not at all. For me, it's just me, but it's just me and just amplified. But another thing with talking suitors, so as you can tell, of course, some of us prefer not to talk, so we may squeak or just not talk at all, depends. One of the reasons I do talk is because, hello, my mouth moves. So it gives me a reason to do so and to be a little bit more expressive when I'm here in suit with you guys. That way you feel more of an interaction. But even if you're not talking, you can still create a wonderful interaction because once you figure out how suitors speak, you can really kind of learn to interact with just about anyone. Like, Taazeer can sit there and just be squeaking about something completely irrelevant or whatever, and we'll know exactly what he's saying because we hear it all the time. But, exactly, that's it. So you kind of get used to it, like I said, and finding the voice for your character personally is ultimately up to you. You may decide to be silent. You might decide to squeak. You may be like me and just be royally obnoxious and talk way too much. But that's okay. Once you do find it, you'll grow very much more comfortable in what you're doing. And that also helps from the social standpoint that you mentioned earlier. So,
I know they have like the, I guess you call them downer suits where they have a character that's potentially down, but they emphasize it.
Sure.
More like profound. They don't just make it like an actual person would be being depressed. They would actually make something that, is theatric.
Right.
Like Eeyore in Winnie the Pooh.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And especially, when it comes to like being a content handler, when you've got non-speaking people that you're taking care of, like these two, they will speak to me when it's like not around a bunch of people. But for the most part, you have to be able to understand. I've been with this group for not even 6 months, and I already am like, okay, you're squeaking at me, and it's a totally different squeak than an hour ago. We're going to go get some water.
But in reference to that, so me and him right here, we have I understand exactly what he's saying when he speaks. Literally, I'm like, okay, so we need to hear. It really is, and we have our own characterization. Has anyone seen Lilo and Stitch?
Yes.
Right. I'm Dr. John, but this is my Stitch. What? You have something to share with the crowd, with the class?
And example, them not speaking, squeaking.
And you ask yourself, How do they squeak?
That's
Yeah.
Got a tiny
Yes.
little bird whistle.
I want to.
Yeah.
Squeaker toys.
Don't swallow it.
Hold on.
Please don't get it.
I'm going to stress this and stress this hard. Dog squeaker toys, do not use them.
They don't belong in your mouth.
For one, if you get bumped, where's it going?
You'll choke to death. It'll be adorable, but they.
Anybody here a hunter or know about hunting a little bit?
We're in the South.
Yeah, yeah.
Come on.
It's in the South. Come on, it's okay.
I don't specify what call I use, I just keep that personal, but we use recalls. I do not have a dog squeaker toy or a toy squeaker of any sort. I use a recall that is designed to go into your mouth. So if it doesn't go in your mouth, don't put it there. I just stress, anybody uses a dog squeaker, go spend the $4 or $5 and get a recall. There's different animals and everything else you can get out there. Don't do a squeaker, because if someone bumps you or you trip, that's going. And most of the time, I've seen people use them, they cut around it so there's sharp edges. So please don't use a dog squeaker. That's coming from me.
Does anybody think of dog squeakers as Tide Pods?
Don't eat those either.
Whatever works for you, you do you. So if that works for you to not put a squeaker in your mouth, good idea.
Yeah. But you can
I'll just
find them on
pop it.
Amazon.
You might
Just-
want it.
just please don't use squeakers. I haven't heard of anything, but I've heard numerous people say, I would install a letter.
It's because you don't hear from people who use them, you know?
I also haven't heard anything, so it's like, I stress that if it's not designed to go in your mouth, don't put it in your mouth.
I've seen a video of a kid on YouTube. He was playing with one, wasn't for anything like this. He was just playing with one in his mouth, swallowed it, and it's literally his mom sitting there in the ER with him. He's sitting on the bed. And you can hear him as you watch his chest expand and contract. You can hear it wheeze in his windpipe. It was sad, but at the same time you can't help but laugh. Sorry, but it was sad. But you have to laugh at it.
I'm sorry, don't
But seriously, don't do that.
Don't touch Glorious over there. We have any questions to any particular subjects?
Or if you're afraid of squeakers, just get your headphones.
That's one way to do it.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't look like any of y'all wear glasses.
I do.
I do.
I do. Okay. How do you keep them from fogging up inside your head?
So, Marcel.
You don't wear them.
Marcel?
So, in reference to that, right, I wear glasses. I wear contacts. I specifically
I
wear
would too if
contacts.
I could find them. My contacts have vanished.
You know, what you might end up looking into is sport goggles. You ever see like the elastic bands with those sport glasses? Try to find a reference to that, or you may actually have to have glasses made out of that material. But there is material that does not fog. I'm a certified scuba diver, and I put a gel inside my lenses to keep it from fogging. You put it in there, let it sit for a couple minutes, then you rinse it out, and it doesn't fog. That may work. That would be something you would talk to your doctor about.
I will say, as somebody who has glasses on in here at the moment, they don't fog, but I think it's because I have a fan in here too. So it keeps the air circulating and that kind of stuff, so I haven't had much issue.
There's many factors to having glasses in your suit. Ventilation, temperature around you, all that good stuff. Yeah.
In the back there.
I was gonna say that, like, if you have what I did, because one time I had a smaller head than this one.
That's adorable.
And, thank you. And I was able to take the glasses that I had and put them on the outside of the suit.
Okay.
And what I did was, at Walmart, they had like these Velcro strips, and I got the color of my fursuit, and I just attached them to the side of the suit to put the glasses through the hole, so that way you can have it on the outside, it won't necessarily
And the
fog up
outside
as
is
much.
under that piece of board.
That's if they.
Right.
Some larger heads than others.
So good talking.
I didn't say it.
Not you.
I know. I didn't say it.
I'm compensating.
Okay.
So we real quick, our real quick subject is fursuiting outside of the convention. Public suiting is totally different than being in the convention.
Very much so.
As you can imagine, here we all understand that, you know, some of us don't follow those rules with the elevator, so the fursuiters go first.
Thank you.
But when you're outside with the public, again, they don't know what we are. What is this giant creature on me? It's a Build-A-Bear. It's loose. What are we going to do with it? Call animal control. Call the police.
It can happen.
But if you end up going out public suiting, always have a handler. Always have a handler. 2, if you're going to go inside the building, speak to the manager first to make sure there is no mask laws. Because they will kick you out.
Or the helicopter can get around.
Same thing with even like city parks, a lot of them will have where you can't have certain things there, so to check with your city or wherever you're going to beforehand.
State of Georgia actually has mask laws too.
So does North Carolina.
A lot of states do. Before you go anywhere where you're covering up your face, ask permission.
Always. Don't go to the bank.
Never go to the bank.
Can't talk to the bank manager about it?
I'd like to make a withdrawal, but I don't have an account.
And do not chase after any kids in the park.
And do not chase the children on the
Well,
park.
that's the symbol of the convention, you said it was different.
So, some different. Additional terms may apply.
Chief Fursuiter for details.
But again, public suiting speech, you need to be extra careful when you're outside that kind of space. Just because there are other variables such as traffic, children, dogs, animals, mud,
Weather.
rain.
To get mud out of these suits.
Not easy.
Also, dogs don't tend to like these things.
So I'm also going to, real quick, I'm going to go into if I get mud out of this. In this exact same room at 3 o'clock will be a fursuit care, real in depth about maintenance, cleaning, all kind of stuff. Help you guys out with that.
Highly recommend it.
Yeah.
My buddy runs it. He's the one I learned how to take care of my own suit from.
He talks.
So one thing, I found out as of last night is they put the sky bridge at midnight, so some of you who were at the Hilton, other hotels across the street, I recommend not having your mask on, especially at that late at night, because
You should
because
have an
I
eye across the
nearly
street.
had a hard time, almost tripped over the curb and all that stuff, so I had to take that on the hat off, so.
You should never be
Don't
crossing
worry
the
about
street
breaking the
with
magic
your mask.
hat.
No.
With your head on in general, you shouldn't have your face covered crossing the street anyway.
Right.
That's just safety.
The only place I feel comfortable having my outside the city is in Pittsburgh and Ethicon, That's the only place I feel safe having my head out there because the city's okay with it. Atlanta's a little sketchy outside the building.
Have a handler.
We call it the sketch diner down the street. Anyways.
What's he say about the outside stuff? Also, when you're out shooting outside, you have no environmental control like you have in the hotel. So you will overheat way fast.
Unless you're at Midwest Fair Fest, oh, it's
On that note regarding environmental, especially coming to overheating, I go back to some of the cooling. Guys, when you're out public suiting, there's not a headless lounge you can just walk into. Make sure you're adequately cool. Make sure your handler knows to keep you adequately cool, because the weather conditions can very much affect that, depending on what state you're in.
Especially being in the south, you don't like the weather, wait 10 minutes till it changes.
That's it.
Alabama.
Does anybody else have any questions or
All right.
comments?
So yeah, we're going to go and open the floor up right now for questions and Q&A. For any topic you want to discuss, we did just a real generalization there of everything. We go in depth if you'd like later on at the end of the panel. Yes, darling.
About realistic heads. My hinges, if you can't hear, very squeaky. How do I fix that?
What is the hinges made out of?
I have no clue. It's a Halloween mask in the store. So
Probably plastic.
Plastic hinges with pop rivets.
Yeah, it's probably plastic. I don't know of a lot of suits that use like a
Did
metal or
you have
something,
somebody,
but-
did you commission your head piece to be done? Or
No.
did you do it yourself?
No, I bought it from like a Halloween store.
Do you have access to the hinges, or is it completely covered?
I actually have no clue.
It's
See,
like
if
the one
they're
that I got.
exposed and you have to put you have to lubricate them,
Yeah.
that's why they're squeaking.
3-in-1 sewing machine oil. Don't use a whole lot, very little.
Just like 2-3 drops?
Yeah,
Each side?
not even that, maybe a drop or two. And that should do it for you.
Yeah, questions, anything, pertaining to us personally, our character, stuff like that, this is now the Q&A. So as a reminder, it is a PG-13 panel, so let's keep that in mind. So any questions regarding any of us as suitors or anything that we discussed about the panel? I use polyfill, and I don't have any issues. My tail is full of it, my legs are full of it, my feet are full of it.
Be out there and going to the right a bit.
Well, I'm pretty much the same. Polyfill is mostly what we use for like turtle stuffing and stuff like that. It could be just as bland as it is on top of the base. It just depends on how much you pack in. Because I mean, yes. I pull all my paint out, it's not built into my suit. I pull it all out and I spray it and wash it all down. Every so often, depending on how often you suit at a convention, take them, open them up, and replace your polyfill because it will get a little bit. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, okay, I go to about 8-9 conventions a year, and I'll probably change it about every year. But I also keep my suit very clean. So, but I'm gonna actually be changing his off very soon. So, but yeah, every so often change them all.
So yes, your suit's adorable, by the way, and I love the whole pirate outfit. It's amazing.
Oh, thank you. Just tagging on to the public shooting aspect of things. I'm not sure when it is or where it is, but I know that at FWA, Lelia Spaniel has a panel about specifically public shooting.
Really?
Because she has done a ton of it. I've done some with her. We did the Paws in the Park dog charity thing in Orlando earlier this year. It was a blast. And she's just the best ever. So absolutely go to Lelia's channel if you get a chance, if you're interested in public shooting.
Yeah, if you're looking for public shooting, definitely check out that
Yes,
place.
Lelia has
Or it's either noon or like 11
Noon.
or something. Noon?
So
Okay, it's the noon one? Okay.
How many of you here are local?
Fursuiting in public.
Out of curiosity.
How local?
Like within 2 hours.
Within 2, yeah.
Are you from Atlanta?
Alpharetta, okay. I heard McDonough, Decatur.
Okay. Okay. I don't know if you guys know, but we do have another convention that takes place in October in Chattanooga.
Yes.
Called Anthro Southeast. The plugs. Shameless plug right here. Absolutely.
I'll be there.
We know you will.
Okay.
So if you guys are interested in that, we got some pods. The con chairs are all three right here. All of us are right here. So reference sites. Anthro Southeast is October. Change the date. October 25th.
He's fired.
You can fire me where you can, but pass those around. It's in a shameless plug. I'm sorry. Are there any other questions or concerns? Yes, in the back, Pepper.
As far as, like, how many of you guys have commissioned your suits from outside artists?
He made his.
Okay.
I commissioned mine.
I'm kind of, like,
He's actually my suit brother.
okay. About, like, when you decided that you were going to go all in on a suit.
Alright guys, we made our question on the floor.
When you decided you were going to go all in on a suit, like, what was
Guys, quiet down!
about what was the timeline that you had from, like, picking an artist to getting references down to getting the suit in, like, what's the general turnaround time?
Generally, you vary depending on your maker, right?
Yeah.
The big names such as Mayhew, THC, Lemon Brat, those kind of makers, those typically take a long time because it's based upon their cue. Because you have to put in your estimate, put in your thing, get approved for your bid, your quote, things like that. Paying your maker up front actually really helps them a lot in reference to that. But typically the turnaround time is about 6 months from you submitting a reference sheet to actually getting your suit.
Okay.
Give or take.
Gotcha.
I work.
Also, heavier duct tape really pencil on.
Yeah. I work, depending on the time of the year, I work between 40 and 60 hours a week.
Yeah.
It took me, with having all the material, it took me 3 months to make her suit.
Okay.
So, but that's when you got to keep in mind. Some of us do it for, well, some people do it for a living, and some of us don't do it for a living. I do it on the side and whatnot. But I mean, it just depends on what their cue. Their cue can be 3, and then as soon as one's out, one's in, some have 10. I've
Yeah.
seen a maker post up that they have slots open for December of next year.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I bought a commission's office from 2 years from now.
So,
Yeah, if you're going with like a bigger maker, they tend to have longer queues. Like, for
Yeah.
instance, More for Less made mine, and
Yes.
Right.
it took about like 8-10 months for mine
Uh-huh.
to
See,
get
that's
turned
not
on.
bad.
And it's probably only that fast because I am just brown and other brown. And very simple. So I didn't have any crazy patterns. If you've got a very complex looking character, it's going to take longer and be more expensive.
Absolutely. Complexity matters a lot.
I was going to add something else before I ask my question. It also depends on where you get commissioned as well, especially internationally. Because I commissioned my suit from someone from Brazil, and I had to deal with a lot of like government
Customs, yeah.
with Brazil. So it really also depends on where you get the suit from. So be really careful on that.
and always research where your money is going.
Talk to other people who had their suit commissioned if you're going to get it commissioned.
Because anybody that's been in the fandom in more than a year knows what I'm talking about. They pay and don't receive.
Always. If you PayPal someone for a commission, do not send in family and friends. Your SOL.
Never.
And don't give them eBay cards, the scam thing, and
PayPal won't do anything if it's not for goods and service. PayPal won't do anything to help you.
and there are many new wares out there. Just check
So,
Facebook.
like I said, always do your homework. Just because, and one thing that I stress, I'm a DJ and I run my DJ company outside this. People always say that I'm expensive, but then they go with their brother's uncle's son's brother's cousin that'll do it for $200, and then it's horrible for their $1,000 wedding. You get what you pay for. If you see a full suit for $300, you're gonna get a $300 suit. This, anybody know how much a yard of this material costs? What you would pay generally for this material?
A lot.
Yard.
Like $50?
30 to 40 bucks.
Just in blue, I have 4 yards. So if you're getting a $300 suit, you're getting a $300 suit. So I'm
You're
just
paying for
saying.
the materials at that point.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm sure that I'm sure there's a person.
Plus the fee for them to actually make it.
I'm just saying, that's just coming from me, what I see, just anybody, because this isn't one-on-one. Always do your homework.
There's also quite a few people out there selling suits that belong to somebody else. They're copies.
Right,
Exactly.
So, we have any other questions pertaining to anything? I will be shooting video, so if you have a suit, want to be part of a video, just jump in. So you're saying your child or another child? Okay. In a public setting, you yourself need to remove yourself from the situation. At a convention that, an AnimeCon, Comic-Con, or a Furry convention, you need to remove your head and you need to calmly address the parent of the child that, hey, your child is being inappropriate. And then if that doesn't help, you need to then talk to staff. And always remove yourself from a situation that makes you uncomfortable, dangerous, or hostile. If they're harassing you, you need to get away. You need to get away.
So think of this way, right? So if you're outside the park, right, with children around, and you're out in public seating, you are now the sole representative of the furry fandom when you're out there. The behaviors you have right there will always be ingrained in their brain of what the furry fandom is. Because remember, first impressions are everything.
Yep.
So always keep that in mind in this situation. Don't
keep your cool.
Yeah.
Yes. So if you're being harassed in a public setting, you're not in a setting that we are, technically confined to. So if you're in public, your best bet is to remove yourself from that public setting. If you're at a convention, if you can talk to the parent of the child, or turn around and talk
Hello.
to staff.
Hello. Hi.
Nice. That's a big
Okay. Is that the band hammer? So, we're gonna have one more question.
Oh, sorry.
One more question, then we're gonna go outside out in the hallway, people will talk to us, get our social media, things like that. Pictures, all that stuff. Yes, ma'am.
Alright, so say you're sitting out and about in a public place and somebody comes up to you like, oh, what are you doing? And like bring up a whole list of negative stigma. How do you steer away from that?
Funny story. That actually happened here.
2 nights ago.
2 nights ago. So as you can imagine, I'm gonna briefly touch on it, because it's a PG panel. The sexual question always comes up, right?
Yes.
And so it's typically how I respond is, humans have sex, we're humans. That's it. Nothing further. And don't comment on it. Just say there are some negative.
Or that it's a common misconception.
Right, common misconception.
The whole thing.
What I say personally is I say, why would I spend so much money on my suit and get involved in something like that? And then they kind of give me the whole, oh, okay, that's how I handle it.
Because you will get the negative aspects of that. Typically, the good thing I sometimes point them toward, did anybody see the CNN episode?
I'm sure everybody in here did.
What was it called?
This is
My Life with
live.
Yeah.
With Lisa Live.
I usually point them to that. Because that I like the way that they presented us as a fandom and kind of they kind of all that stuff on the side.
Also, there is a panel at 7:30 today discussing the furry fandom with non-furries. If you want to go to that.
Perfect.
It's panel
Yeah.
number 1.
So, all right, we're going. We got it. All right, thank you guys for coming.